Hello guys, so this is a short video to explain how you can create what we call custom brains in Quiver. So let me showcase one example. So I've started Quiver locally. You can do that simply by going to Quiver on GitHub and simply cloning the project, and you just need to follow the steps. So let's look at Quiver locally. So when you create a brain, you can create custom brains. And one cool thing with custom brains, so currently we have GPT-4 locally, but is you can create custom brains that, you can code yourself. So for example, here, I'm going to Quiver in the preview environment, but you can create, like, for example, what we call a big brain. It's like a documentation brain, but with a different type of algorithm. And you can have the SQL brain, which allows you to talk to SQL databases. So that allows you to create more use case. So let me showcase you how you can simply create one. So the thing is, you just need to go to GitHub on VS Code or whatever you want. You, let me find it. You go to modules, brain, and then there's integration here. And so here we have a couple of brains. Let me zoom in a bit. And you, for example, here we have the big brain, the GPT-4, the Notion brain, and the SQL. So let's look at the the GPT-4 brain. So the GPT-4 brain is a few lines of code. So the first part is the get chain. So we use long chain in order for us to create chains that can then be called by Quiver. So here you see we say, okay, this is the system message. You are GPT-4 powered by Quiver. You are an assistant, and the custom personality is something that is passed on from Quiver, from the front end, which is the personality that the user decided to put. So if we look at, for example, this brain here, if the user says, hello, you are speaking Italian, this is something you'll get back here. And then we get the chat history and then the question. And then we create the chain, so the chain takes the prompt and the chat light LLM. If we look at more complex brains, for example, the big brain, what we did is we created a chain with the method getChain, and here we created a more complex algorithm. And then this is the part where we answer the question. And the same thing for Notion. Notion is just a pass-through. What is different in Notion is how we load the documents into the brain. And SQL, very simple. It's the same thing, getChain, and the getChain, we created our own long chain SQL, long chain chain. So let's create a new brain. So, for the sake of simplicity, we're going to create a brain which is called GPT-3. Okay? So GPT-3 is going to be the new brain in Quiver. So let's call it GPT-3, and here let's call it GPT-3. And here inside of that, we want GPT 3.5. I can't recall exactly GPT 3.5. So this one here. So what we did here is we took the get chain. We created a prompt. We said, okay, I want you to have this prompt. Your GPT 3.5 powered by Quiver. You're an assistant. Here is the chat, the chain, and we return the chain. And then what is going to be called by Quiver is the generate stream function. So the generate stream function, what it does, it gets the chain. Then this is, you don't care about that, but what happens here is it's going to call the function. And this is the get, it's going to call the chain with long chain stream functions. So if you want to create your own chains, what you can do is you can go to a long chain and look at LCEL, and you can create, for example, let's look at agents. You can create your own agent. And if you return a chain as an agent, you'll be able to create a custom brain in Quiver. So let's deep dive. Okay. So now I created the GPT 3.5. So let's search in the code for let's look Notion because it's here. So what you do is in integration list in the file brainfulchat.python, what you do is you create, like, for example, a brain called GPT-3, and here you see, say, I want to import the GPT-3 brain. So what you need to do now is from modules.brain.integrations.gpt3.brain, and we import that. Okay. So now what happens is when the question is asked to Quiver, it's going to get the integration, and depending on the integration, it's going to call the right object. So, for example, here, if the name has GPT-3 in it, it's going to call the GPT-3 brain. So now the brain is in the code. Now let's make it accessible to the users. So let's make sure that everything is right. This is GPT-3. Okay, so how do we do that? Now we go back to Supabase. And Supabase locally is available on localhost 54323. And what you do is you go to integrations here. And here, as you can see, we already have one, which is GPT-4. Let's copy just this value. And let's create a new row. Okay? So the integration name is GPT-3. This is important because it's how we know where to redirect the code. The integration type is a custom. It doesn't take any files. Here we can put, let me move my head for a bit. Here we can put the integration logo URL. So let's put this one, which is the logo of OpenAI. And then we have the connection settings. This is for another video, but it allows you to get, for example, the API key if you want of the user. You just put a JSON, and it allows you to get parameters from the user when it creates a brain. So now we save. And when the user goes back to Quiver, if we refresh here, this page, and when you do create a brain, so it takes a bit of time because I'm building the website as we speak. When we go here, now we can create a GPT-3 brain. So let's call it GPT-3.5, GPT-3.5 brain, and let's do create. Let me move my head again. Here, yeah. And now when we ask a question, let's ask a question to GPT-3. What is your name? And so what it does here, it's going to talk to the brain. So it's going to look at, okay, so the brain type is GPT-3. So it's going to ask the question to GPT-3. And here it says, I am your AI assistant powered by Quiver. How can I assist you? Let's make sure that it works. So we are using Longsmith, and we can look at what is your name. Here we look at the chain, and let's see, it uses GPT 3.5, so we're good. So what you can do now is, once you know how to create one brain, one custom brain, you can create agents, you can create custom interactions with your data. And we went, for example, we created the Notion brain right here, and what it does is this one changes the way we upload files into brains, and but it does not change the way we interact with brains, because a brain currently uses RAG. But for example, for a client, we had to create a new algorithm that we call BIG, which is simply a map reduce algorithm. And yeah, so you can create as many custom brains as you want, make it accessible in Quiver easily. And yeah, have fun, guys. And if you have any questions, just open an issue on Quiver or join the Discord. The link is here, and have fun.